What is up, guys? It's Sai Kuno here. So we're gonna be day trading today actually. The previous or one of the previous videos I think is us trading this day already, but we're trading the Nasdaq now and we're doing 4 contracts. So we'll see how this all goes.
It was jamming on top of the metal base you bought me from Target. Like the pink topper stand.
Oh my goodness. So essentially what we learned was if the market looks like it's going in that direction, in a specific direction, you want to trade against it using scuff trade or whatever it is. So in this case, it looks like the we'll wait for the trigger. We're in the market. I could never. Nice. So we got the scalp. So essentially, it looked like the market was gonna keep going up. If you look at the minute chart, it has like this like motion moving up here. You got the swing high, the first entry. Well, this is just a minute chart, and it just looks like the market's gonna keep pushing up because every time you made a push down, you push right back up, and that's also a spike. So we can imagine a ton of people trying to go long there. It's a little bit of a range as well. So yeah, that was a good trade. So going short there against what the market looks like it's doing, and it looks like we're about to get the runner as well. So pretty good trade. And oh, nice. Enter the trade. Sure. I think this is a trade that we're in for a while. Choo choo. Tawa bonita. So cute. Nice. Okay, so we had we treated this like a double top. Then we had the first entry. Also, we scalp out at 2 ticks now instead of break even because there's a bunch of slippage. So when we go on break even, it usually slips a couple ticks. So we just moved it up, and usually it doesn't make a difference. As you can see, it came to the tick or actually beyond the tick. So pretty good. And there was actually a little bit of slippage there too. But anyway, we treated that as now a double top. At first we treated it as a first entry, second entry, but we could still treat it as a double top, which in this case we did. We had a double top, first entry, second entry. I was looking to sell here and all the way till down because it just looks like the market's going to keep going up. So we can imagine, as according to our rule, if it looks like it's going that direction, we all want to go against it. And so we had that big drop down in the minute chart, and we can imagine a ton of people trying to buy there because of the spike, because of that low, and because of this low over here. People are looking for a buy, and so selling there is the best option because everybody hops on that bandwagon, and selling there on one ticker on a spike is the best option. You could have done a non-obvious, but it's a spike because it's a bunch of bars down, so good trade. Just enter the trade. You're gone. Dun, dun. Let's go ahead and fast forward here. Oh my goodness. Hitting it?
No, like her head's hitting my body.
Oh. Something up inside our faces. I will carry on blood. There's a long way for so trust in me. Okay, that was unfortunate.
this is the green one. He's sticking on the wall.
So in this scenario, we have a kind of a a strong push down, and it was huge push up. Um, People are gonna buy those spikes and pick the bottoms when possible. So when you get a huge spike up, you're gonna imagine a ton of people start buying here. So the best option there is to sell, especially if it starts to consolidate like that. So yeah, the best option here is to sell, because people are gonna try it and correct this entire move down. Yep. In the trade. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. My turn.
So prices do look like they're working down here.
Okay, I'm finished.
Finish already? So the market looks like it's going down here, and this guy. So a ton of people are gonna start selling there because it looks like an unstoppable market. Selling there is the best option.
It's my turn.
And I use so much. Buying there is the best option. So it's not really a level of support / resistance. If it's just a double bottom and never got tested beforehand. If it was tested over here, then maybe we could buy, sell there. But buying there is the best option. Enter the market. Nice. So yeah, the swing low first entry market looked like it was gonna correct and just keep going down here, and so buying there, and it's a spike. So buying there is the best option. Good trade. Good trade. All right, so we had a swing low. 8:30 comes in right here, so a bunch of trades are actually. Let's go ahead and just rewind it. All right, rewind it back to 8:30. It's huge spike on the minute chart. You can imagine a ton of people selling. All right, even though we rewinded it back, there was no trades. So yeah, just gonna keep going on here. But we do have a swing low. Not first entry yet. Missed a trade. It happened in like a split second. We had switch over here. You had the swing low first entry, and your entrance would have been right here at 25. Entering right there and 25 high, right there. So it would have got you right in there just enough for a tick and the scalp. And you would be buying there because it looks like the market is trying to do a spike and people are going to sell those spikes. Just got on the trade. Got the scalp. Can we get a runner? Alright, so we had the swing high in the first entry, second entry here. And it doesn't show on this monitor, but on my other monitor, I have a resistance line right here. Right, Drew, I'm just going to copy and paste it here. And as you can see, you have that high right there. You pushed right through it like nothing. That high was tested a couple times, so that's a pretty significant high. And this strong spike going up. After the push out, people like to trade right back into those ranges. So you can imagine a ton of people start selling here and buying there on the second entry. I would have wanted something else in a second entry, but that's what it gave us. So buying there was the best option, and going long there, because especially since the fact that, and nice, we got the runner, and so after that spike, people are gonna sell those spikes. People are gonna sell back into the range. So that was a good trade. Just got in the trade, and I got the scalp. Pretty damn good trade. Nice. Dang, bro. Got the swing low, the first entry, the second entry right there. And so we couldn't do a one ticker because it's not a spike. It looks like a massive push, but that's a spike. That's a spike. That's a spike. So what we had there was not a spike. Oh wait, you gotta just see it right here. That's a spike. That's a spike. This is not a spike. So I had to do an non-obvious, and that was the best trade you could take. I mean, it came in just a couple ticks and pushed right back. Beautiful execution right there. So people who did go short here got their scalp, but we got into our entry, and so yeah. Just enter the trade. Nice. Amazing trade. We had a swing low, first entry, second entry, as you can see there. Swing low, first entry, second entry. We couldn't do a 1 ticker entry because obvious reasons. It's not a spike, it's not an obvious. So we did a non-obvious 3-point entry. We wanted to buy here due to the fact that I was a little hesitant I wanted to sell at first because it looks like prices are going to keep pushing up if you didn't know about triple tops or head and shoulders. Here's the head and shoulders, there's a head, and there's the shoulders. So it's also triple top that you can say, and people are going to, with those strong legs down, this is the minute chart by the way, and with these strong moves down, people are going to try and sell, especially at this point right here, even for like a little scalp for a little push down. So people are going to start selling there, and that was a good trade. You wanted to buy. So the obvious thing here, prices look like they were going to come down, so you wanted to buy. Oh my goodness. It happened in like a split second. What? Do you see this? What? there. What is that? I didn't get to record it, but we took a second entry right above this guy. This was our signal bar. Pushed down first, and then I was waiting for the entry, and it shot on up right there. So essentially, the swing high, the first entry, the second entry. And you may think to yourself, wait, but that's your first opportunity to enter. You should short. No, on the contrary. That's not what we trade anymore. What we trade is if it looks like it's going in that direction, in a specific direction, go the opposite way. If you take a look at the minute chart, we had that head and shoulders thing that we had here, the push up, then a barely push up, then the push down. And what happens very often that people know about is this. And the market's going to shoot down. So people are going to start selling, especially after that good 3 bars right there on the minute chart. And it's a huge push down. And then the swing high, the first entry, second entry. That's a beautiful trade. Buying there is the best trade. And as you can see, if it didn't pull back so fast, we would have got the runner as well. Actually, we did get the runner. We bought here, sold, and the runner, yeah. So super good trade. Yeah. Kind of cray though, because we're trading 4 contracts. Looks like they all got filled at a different spot. Bought here. How did we buy on the right side? We bought here, and here. Sold here. Bought here. We entered a trade over here and exited here. Is that what happened? Yeah, we entered up here because it went so fast. We sold. And it took it as like a whole nother contract, and then it bought here. That's an interesting thing, but yeah, we got the scalp anyway and the runner, so it was a good trade. I never see that before. That was cool. But dang, that's so crazy. We got 1, 2. Look at the. I mean, jeez, bro. 1, 2. Is that 1, 2? 1, 2, 3, 4 trades in a row. That's a nice trade. Unlucky. Usually when you got that 4th trade, you know what happened was. So it looked like the market was pushing up, which is why it pushed down. So if you take a look at here, the market started to push up. Now after this right here, after that, a ton of people are going to start buying because the market looks like it's going to keep pushing up. You thought it was going to get a strong leg down after here, but once the market pushed up like that, stopped all these people, you bet a ton of people started buying. So then at this point right here, you got a swing low, first entry, second entry, selling right there would have been the best option. Yeah, but you would probably still be in shock of this, like, what just happened here. So you're not getting the same swings on micro NASDAQ, which is interesting. Maybe we should be trading the 500 tick chart on the NASDAQ, or the 850. Yeah, nothing on the micro. That's interesting. Not a single trade in this area. Not that trade, not the other trade. It's an interesting thing. 500, 700. Not on the 700 either. It is, however, on. Actually, it's very different on the 500 ticket chart. It's an interesting one. Interesting. Just enter the market. So buying there was the better option. Actually, you couldn't have bought either way because you would have to take a non-obvious. try to sell because I thought for sure the people would start buying here. But it's a strong spike down. We can imagine after, especially that coming off that high and pushing down that far, we can imagine a ton of people seeing this as a topping pattern now. So that was not the best trade. Yeah, so people are gonna keep picking those tops essentially. That was bound to happen though, right? 4 trades and 1 loser, 80% win rate. Okay, so swing high, first entry, second entry. Market looks like it's gonna keep pushing up. Okay, you saw me get into trade. Well, it doesn't look like our order was splattered all over the place, at least. We're gonna stop us out. Do it now, buddy. Nice. Okay, so we had the swing high here. Over here, actually. First entry, second entry right here. That's your signal bar. And so the market looks like it's just going to keep going up. After that push down, people were trying to sell, but then that push right back up, and then the low push, and then the low push up. You can imagine a ton of people looking for a long because it doesn't look like it's reversing anytime soon. So it does look like prices are just going to keep pushing up and having another spike like that. So good trade, good trade. Also, 1 tick entry because this is still a strong uptrend. It hasn't really made like a reverse pattern in the other direction, or a trend in the other direction. Plan to enter a trade. Just enter the trade. Been some time since our last trade. 10:30 at night. So we had that swing high, first entry. Let's see what happens here. So we're still sticking to the rule of, I'm going to say this even before we get the scalp, so hopefully we get it. We're still sticking to the rule of where does the market look like it's going, go against that. And that's what we're doing here. But I'm not going to say until we actually get it. But it's kind of quite obvious that we're going long, right? Yeah, I should have sold. Okay, yeah, you should have sold. Should have sold. Wait a minute, no. Don't do this to me. Okay, good. So yeah, you should have sold on it's a spike too. And for some reason I thought that once we were gonna, oh gosh, whoa. Once we were gonna end up pushing back into this like range area. Let me copy and paste this real quick. I get more pop-ups for my antivirus and actual viruses. Okay, so we had this, and I thought for sure that once the market started to break down here, that people would start selling into here, but that's just something I made up in my head along the way. So that's absolutely not true. You had that spike there. People are going to use that support, and a ton of people would buy there. Selling there is the best option. But to enter in the market, maybe? Just enter the market. Oh, and we got the scalp. Nice. All right, this one's a weird one. Tiny bit of a weird one, but this is our signal bar, this green guy over here. So we did a non-obvious 3-point entry. Basically the market looks like it's going to keep pushing down, and so the reason why is because you have that huge spike and a little bit of a two-legged correction. We could imagine a ton of people picking the tops here saying we're going to trade all the way back to the other side. But yeah, it just overall looks like it's gonna keep going down. You have the topping pattern with a straight spike and a little spike. That's important, a spike and not a trend, because if it was a trend, a lot of people would be convinced that the market's gonna go along. But this is a spike, so people like to sell those spikes and aren't strongly influenced by spikes, especially small ones like that. So we can imagine a ton of people end up going end up trying to go short there. So going long there on that swing low, first entry, swing low, first entry, second entry. It's not your first attempt, first entry, so we had to do a non-obvious 3-point entry, and we just got enough for the scalp. Looks like just enough too. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and see this because I think we'll be able to get this. But now it looks like prices are actually starting to work down here. But maybe not. We'll see. Oh, wrong spot. Okay, we're in the trade. Going for a buy here. Will this bite us in the booty? Nice, we got it. Nice, good trade. Because that pushed up even higher than scalp. So if we were to sell there on the 1 ticker, you would have got stopped out. Because that pushed up really high. So yes, buying there was the better option. And the reason you would buy here instead of sell is because literally our strategy works. Which is the market looks like it's going to keep pushing down here. If you take a look at the minute chart, it looks like prices are just starting to reverse like it was over here. You had that two-legged correction. Now you have the confirmation that the market's going to keep pushing in this direction. And people are going to start pushing the... Wait, we lost that other one, didn't we? Hold on, I'm confused right now. Oh yeah, wait, we got that trade. Why is it processing in my head that we didn't get it? Yeah, we got that trade. For some reason, it's in my head that maybe it was this one that we didn't get. Yeah, so that's the one. Okay, so we did get this one. So once again, it's the same exact thing essentially, which is that spike down. It's after this like topping pattern. And the market just looks like it's going to keep pushing down. We can imagine a ton of people imagining in their head, they've seen this dance before, which is you'll end up just seeing a drop like that. Essentially, just a straight drop. And so a ton of people are going to start selling there and not necessarily pushing to the other side. It's just correcting that sort of thing. And yeah, so that was a good trade. On a buy on a swing high, first entry, second entry, and there's a little bit of support. We can imagine those people trying to stop those people out just because of the way the market looks like, what it looks like it's going to do. And it does take a little bit of experience to be able to say, oh yeah, it looks like it's going to do that. So yeah, just enter the trade. Oof, stopped out. That was a quick one. All right, so this was a very interesting one. We got this pattern right here. I mean, does that look familiar or what? So you have this swing high, first entry, second entry. And it's not really a swing high, first entry, second entry, but this is a very common pattern. Very common pattern. And so we can imagine a ton of people going long here. I just didn't think that people would be playing based on the support and resistance. So if people saw this resistance level, people would actually end up buying. I just didn't think that this was going to be the case. I thought maybe people saw these moves and were actually going to keep pushing down. I took these people as like a little bit dumber than you should actually take them. But these are pretty smart traders. They see that. They're like, hey, that looks familiar. They're going to buy. And everybody starts buying. They're trying to stop these people out. And that pushes the market in the opposite direction. So you're actually selling is the better option in this case. So yeah. So once again, that's that familiar pattern. People see that on the minute chart, and then they want to buy right there. And so selling there is actually the better option. I'm just a little bit worried about joining the people who played these highs here, but it doesn't look like they actually played the highs, or maybe they didn't. But nonetheless, it's that pattern. And yeah, super interested in seeing if how this one's gonna play out. This is going to be a high note taker. Very interesting note here. If we ever get in the trade. Jeez, never mind. Okay, it's a different play now. Actually, still pretty much the same play. It's still a very interesting note. Alright, we're in the trade, sort of. Now we are. Yeah, so, okay, so now, here's the interesting thing. We have to start aborting what we thought, well, not aborting, but like taking into more consideration of what the market looks like it's going to do. That's very, very crucial. And then we throw on whether we want to be buying or selling. And then stuff like this on the swing high or double top, you can say first entry, second entry, right? Usually we would say, oh, look, it broke out of here. It's time to sell out of there because everybody likes to trade back into it. But the market looks like it's going to keep on pushing down here. And so a ton of people are going to start selling here, and we just broke out of there. They're like, hey, we just broke out of there, broke out of that level of support. It held on pretty strong, but now it's time to finally continue this strong spike down, and everybody's going to start selling there. So that's a very crucial point here. Crucial note. Good trade. Good note. All right, we're in the market. Let's see who can see. Nice. All right, so the reason we switched from the buying to the selling is because at this point it looked like if the market was going to come into this point, people were going to try to push the market down, but then we had a little bit of a bounce, and it's just at this point it just looked like a ton of people were going to end up buying because of the strong spike. It was such a strong spike. If it was more of a hesitant like drop, but it was at the speed or rate, like it's hard to describe, but yeah, I would say it's the speed and velocity of this spike down there. A ton of people would start buying even at these lows, and it didn't necessarily push all the way through before it pulled back, just enough for people to get in their orders or scalp out or whatever it may be. And we can imagine a ton of people buying here, trying to trade that right back up. And if you take a look at the minute chart, it was like right here, and then it didn't push all the way down, and it started correcting right there. That bar started pushing higher. We can imagine a ton of buys coming in right there. And yeah, that just was enough to get the scalp, so, and the runner. So pretty good trade. Once again, it looks like the market was gonna bounce there after a strong spike because there was so many resistance levels. There was gonna be a great amount of people trying to sell this market down, and people knew that in the back of their mind. They're like, wait, there's gonna be a ton of people trying to sell this all the way back to the other side, but little do they know there's support here, and they're gonna buy, and all those people are gonna buy right here. And that's what's going to stop them all out. So they all bought here, and that market just stopped them all out. And at this point, if you took this as a double top, first entry, second entry right here, you can imagine the people after that spike down, everybody was convinced that this market's going to keep pushing down, and buying right there is actually the better option. All right, I pushed up, and I came down. We had our ticket in the wrong spot. We might get stopped out here, maybe. There's something interesting that happens here. If we do get stopped out, which I think we will. So the interesting thing that happened is that at one bar in the minute chart, it looked like the market was going to keep pushing up. And in this case, as you can see, it looked like the market was going to do a double bottom to a push up. But as soon as this bar formed, people were going to start selling, and that's what pushed the market up. So I was having my buy order in here, And as soon as the market pushed up right there and had that formed bar, it looked like the market was no longer going to have this sort of correction. So people started selling, and it's in a slight downtrend. So you can imagine a ton of sales coming in there. So buying there is actually on a 1 tick entry would have been the best option. So each bar is going to make a huge difference, especially when it comes to familiar patterns. People are going to notice the next bar and be like, wait, that's not my setup, and start exiting, or people are going to start selling, or whatever the case may be. So single bars can change the entire game. In that case, that was it right there. I'm just glad we're able to maintain some sort of profit, even though we're getting a ton of runners and stuff like that. Alright, so we had the swing high, the first entry, and the second entry. This was a decent level of resistance. We can imagine a ton of people trying to go long here, but here's a very interesting thing about this trade. You had these up and down movements the entire way, and at this point, it looks like the market's going to push up there. So that's the only reason we ended up selling. And we do know that this helped a little bit, that double bottom in with a little bit of test here and maybe a little bit there. We imagine it's some people buying, saying, hey, there's a good chance we're going to pull back up. And so people start buying there, and just enough people bought there for us to get our scalp, it looks like. Yep. So we entered here, and no matter what, this bar fills it because it pulls all the way down here before we get our scalp. So maybe it was just because we got lucky with this one, but yeah, I think selling there was a decent option. Also, there's that yeah, because buying there, I think you would have got stopped out. Maybe. Nah, probably not. So technically they could have bought there, but I do believe selling there was the better option. Maybe even non-obvious. No, it looks like you would have got stepped down in a non-obvious. I just got into a trade. Kind of a crazy one, in my opinion. Because this is almost against a lot of what we normally trade. But let's see how this one goes. This one's relying heavily based on the way the market behaves, by the way the market looks. So that was a very good trade. All right, so this is the way the market looked up until that point. So right there, it looks like the market's going to shoot back up here, in my honest opinion, because you're making these lower lows, and eventually when you get that push up like that, people are actually suspecting something like this, because you're in this slow downtrend. People are suspecting a strong spike up, and I know that's crazy, but we know that is an actual thing. So people started buying at this point, and it just looks like the market's going to come and push up, because you're struggling to make a new these lower lows, and they're barely getting down there, and it's hard for it. Actually looks like you have that swing high, and it's going to do something like that. So we can imagine a ton of people buying there. Maybe even at this point, a ton of people had their buy orders in, and that market just started reversing at that point right there. So that was a pretty good trade. A very damn good trade, if you ask me, on that swing low first entry and selling right there. It's a good trade. It's a good trade. Good second entry, Mac. No setup here. There's a swing high first entry, and you wouldn't want to buy this because everybody's going to try and buy this spike, which is an actual thing that people do. Usually when you fall out of that trend, people are going to try to trade that spike back in. So don't buy those. People are going to try to pull that market right back up.